Queen Lyra of the Valerian Empire had ruled through darkness for 12 cycles, her world nothing but whispers and textures since the plague had stolen her sight. Her advisors spoke in hushed tones about the human delegation that had arrived from Earth, requesting an audience about the growing tensions between their species and the aggressive Korthak Empire. The human ambassador stepped forward, his footsteps heavy against the crystal floors of her throne room. Unlike the soft-soled boots of her people, his stride carried weight and purpose that resonated through the chamber. "Your Majesty," he said, his voice carrying an accent she had never heard before. "I am Captain James Mitchell of Earth's Diplomatic Corps. We come seeking an alliance against our mutual enemy." Lyra tilted her head, listening to the undertones of his speech. Where her people's voices carried musical qualities, his held something rougher, more direct. "Speak your proposal, human." "The Korthak fleet grows stronger each day. They've already consumed 3 star systems in the Outer Rim. Our intelligence suggests they plan to move against both our territories simultaneously. Alone, neither of us can withstand their assault." Her chief advisor, Lord Valen, whispered concerns about trusting the newcomers. The human species was unknown, their capabilities uncertain, but Lyra had survived as queen by reading between words, by sensing what others could not see. "What do you offer as guarantee of this alliance, Captain Mitchell?" "A marriage bond," he replied without hesitation, "between your royal house and Earth's leadership. It's how my people have sealed the most important treaties for centuries." The throne room fell silent. Marriage bonds among the Valerians were sacred, creating psychic links between partners. With an alien species, such a union had never been attempted. "You understand what you propose?" Lyra asked. "Our marriage bonds create mental connections. You would share my thoughts, and I yours. I understand, Your Majesty, and I accept." The ceremony took place 3 days later. Lyra wore the traditional silver robes of her house, while James dressed in the formal uniform of Earth's diplomatic service. The ancient words were spoken, the crystal chalices shared, and the bond was sealed. As night fell, Lyra sat in her private chambers, her new husband beside her. She could feel his presence differently now, not just through sound and scent, but through something deeper. "I must confess something," James said quietly. "This wasn't just about the alliance." "What do you mean?" "When I first saw you address your council, I watched how you commanded respect without seeing your subjects, how you ruled an empire through pure strength of will. I've never met anyone like you." Lyra reached out, her fingers finding his face. His skin was warmer than her people's, rougher in texture. "You find my blindness admirable?" "I find your strength admirable. The blindness is just part of who you are." Through their new bond, she could sense his sincerity, but also something else. Images flickered at the edge of her consciousness, visions that weren't her own. "James," she whispered, "what am I seeing?" "What do you mean?" Colors began bleeding into her awareness. Not the memory of colors from before her blindness, but actual visual information flowing through their connection. She saw the soft blue glow of her chamber's lighting, the intricate patterns carved into the walls, and most remarkably, she saw him. James had dark hair and kind eyes, with lines around them that spoke of someone who smiled often. He was looking at her with an expression she had never seen directed at herself, even when she possessed sight. "This is impossible," she breathed. "The marriage bond doesn't grant shared senses." "Maybe it does with humans," James suggested. "We're different species. Perhaps our neural pathways connect in ways your peoples don't." Lyra stood and walked to her balcony, seeing her city for the first time in 12 cycles. The Valerian capital stretched out below, its crystalline spires catching starlight and reflecting it in patterns of breathtaking beauty. Through James's eyes, She watched her people moving through streets she had only known through memory and sound. "Your world is beautiful," James said, joining her at the railing. "I had forgotten," she admitted. "I had convinced myself that ruling in darkness made me stronger, that I didn't need sight to lead my people. You don't need it. But maybe you deserve to have it back anyway." Over the following weeks, their shared vision became natural. Lyra found herself seeing through James's perspective even when they were apart, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. More importantly, their combined intelligence networks and military strategies began turning the tide against the Korthak invasion. The human fleet brought technologies the Valyrians had never imagined, while Valyrian crystal technology enhanced human weapons beyond their previous capabilities. Where the Korthak had expected to face two separate, weaker forces, they instead encountered a unified alliance that anticipated their every move. During the final battle above the disputed world of Nexus Prime, Lyra commanded the Valyrian fleet while simultaneously seeing the battlefield through James's eyes aboard the human flagship. Their tactical coordination was flawless, each knowing the other's intentions before orders were given. "Enemy dreadnought approaching your port side," James's voice reached her through both the communication system and their mental link. "Acknowledged." "Targeting their power core now," Lyra replied, her fingers dancing over the crystal control interface, while her vision switched between her own ship's displays and James's view of the engagement. The Korthak fleet, caught between superior coordination and unexpected technological combinations, began retreating after losing half their forces. The threat that had loomed over both civilizations was broken. That night, as they celebrated aboard Lyra's flagship, she turned to James with tears in her eyes. "When I married you, I thought I was sacrificing my independence for my people's survival," she said. "And now? Now I realize I gained something I never knew I had lost. Not just my sight, but a true partner." James took her hands in his. "The alliance between our peoples will last for generations. But more than that, we've proven that sometimes the most unlikely bonds create the strongest foundations." Lyra smiled, seeing her expression reflected in his eyes through their connection. "The Korthak made one crucial mistake." "What's that?" "They assumed that different meant weaker. They never considered that our differences might make us stronger together than either of us could be alone." As the victory celebrations continued around them, Queen Lyra and Captain James Mitchell stood together, their bond having saved two civilizations and proven that the greatest strength often comes from the most unexpected unions. The humans had arrived seeking an alliance and found a new way forward for both species among the stars.